بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له عز وجل. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة. من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصهما فإن لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر لها شيئا. أما بعد، فقال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم في سورة التغابن. بسم الله. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض له ملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن والله بما تعملون بصير. خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق وصوركم فأحسن صوركم وإليه المصير. يعلم ما في السماوات والأرض ويعلم ما تسرون وما تعلنون والله عليم بذات الصدور. وصدق الله العظيم. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الكريم ونفعني وإياكم بالذكر الحكيم. إنه هو جواد رؤوف رحيم. الآن حي التالي. Tobayan, he is distracted and tired too. Sitting where he is, I have to get out of this spot. I seek refuge in Allah from Satan, from Shaitan, the accursed devil. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. All praise is due to Allah. I seek His help and beg His forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from the mischief and the evils of our souls. Whomsoever Allah guides, there is none who can lead that person astray. Whomsoever Allah finds in error, there is none to guide them. I bear witness that there is no God, no deity worthy of worship, except Almighty Allah, glory be to Him, who is one, alone, and unique, without partner or associate. And I bear witness further that Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is Allah's servant, messenger, and apostle. And He, Allah, has sent His messenger in truth and with the truth, as a bearer of glad tidings and also as a warner in advance of the hour of judgment. Therefore, whomsoever obeys Allah and His messenger, surely that person is rightly guided, and whomsoever disobeys the two of them, surely that person harms only his or her own soul, and they harm not Allah the slightest little bit as for what follows. For Allah, glory be to Him, has said in the Quran, first four verses of Surah the number 64, Surah Tagabun, loss and gain. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate God. All that is in the heavens and all that is on earth extols the limitless glory of Allah. His is all dominion, and to him all praise is due, and he has the power to will anything. He it is who has created you, and among you are such as deny this truth, and among you are such as believe. And Allah sees all that you do. He has created the heavens and the earth in accordance with truth, and has formed you, and formed you so well, and with him is your journey's end. He knows all that is in the heavens and on earth, and he knows all that you keep secret, as well as all that you bring into the open. For Allah has full knowledge of what is in the hearts of men. And surely Allah, glory be to him, has spoken the truth. O you who worship Allah, there is an ancient story that once a people wishing to protect themselves from their enemies built a giant wall that surrounded their territory. And this wall, like many great walls of that nature, had courts that the people on the inside of the wall could use to look through. It had guard stations and gates. And when the people built this wall, they were confident that they would be able to keep their enemies on the outside of their city, of their territory, and that they would be safe, and no more would they suffer the trial and tribulation of having their enemies run through the streets, wreaking havoc. And this was true for a short period of time. And then one day, to the astonishment of the guardians of the city, they heard a great noise and a great clamor. And they looked up, and their enemies were running through the streets of their city. And so the warriors of the city banded together, repulsed their enemy, and the people went on with their lives. And the guardians of the city had the ports and the gates, the watch posts checked and refortified in order to make sure that this would not happen again. And a little bit of time transpired, and once again the people awakened from their sleep to find their enemies running through the streets, creating havoc. And once again the warriors of the city repulsed the enemy, And this time, after they had resecured their city, their dwelling place, they checked every aspect of their wall, from top to bottom, side to side. And it took a great deal of time to do this, and so when they finished this time, they knew that things would be okay. And lo and behold, the same thing happened a third time. And after they had repulsed the enemy a third time, the leaders of the city went to their king. And they said, "O wise king, something is wrong here, because our wall is the strongest wall that has ever been built up until this time. And it is designed to protect us. And if our enemies get in the wall a fourth time, we may not be able to repulse them, and all will be lost." And so the king looked at his advisors and he asked them, "When you examined the wall, did you find any breaches in it? Had sections of the wall been burned or been weakened, broken in, so that the enemy was able to slip through the weakness in the wall?" The advisors said, "We examined and we found no such breach." So the wise king said, "Well, if that is the case, the problem is not on the outside of the wall where demons dwell, but rather the problem is on the inside of the wall," he said. And the advisors, understanding what their king was telling them, set up an elaborate system of surveillance secretly. And they began moving about the ranks of the guards. And eventually they learned that amongst the honorable guards of the city, that there were individuals who had been corrupted. And the reason that the enemy kept bypassing the wall and ending up inside the city was that they had paid off some of the corrupt guards who, when no one was looking, would open gates and let the enemy soldiers inside. And so once these individuals had been identified, the king gave the command and they were executed for treason. And the walls were once again refortified, but this time the people of the city stayed safe for a very long period of time. O you who worship Allah, we have read in the Quran that which we discussed last week. and that was the building of a wall of fortification at the command leadership of Zulkarnain. And Zulkarnain provided the leadership, we learn from the Quran, that enabled a vulnerable people to be kept safe from attacks by their enemies. And their enemies are identified in the Quran as the Gog and Magog people. And their enemies are identified in the authenticated ahadith, the authenticated narration of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, as the Gog and Magog people. And we reflected upon a hadith, prophetic hadith, meaning forward looking, predicting hadith, wherein one of the wives of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam said that one day Allah's messenger came to her and he was shook up. And he said to her, a crack has occurred in the wall behind which lie the Gog and the Magog. O you who believe. For the past few weeks, we have been reflecting upon the significance of prophetic events in our day and time. We have labored in our reflections in order that we might see clearly, not just with our physical eyes, but with the eyes of spiritual consciousness, the significance of current events. Current events are not to be taken lightly. It is not to be taken lightly that upheavals and demonstrations against injustice, rebellion against corruption in government that once occurred in isolated situations and isolated pockets of the city or of the nation are now occurring almost daily, and not just in one city, but all over America, and not just one people around one issue, but various people around a variety of issues. People standing up in town hall meetings called by elected officials and shouting them down, yelling at them, do your job or get out. People gathering by the millions and raising their voices in opposition to evil. The Prophet Muhammad may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, when you see an evil, change it with your hand. If you can't do that, then speak out against it. If you can't do that, then hate it in your heart, resist it in your heart, he said, but that's the weakest of faith. It is not to be taken lightly that millions of people throughout the country in which we live have chosen to move beyond the weakest of faith. And they're raising their voices in opposition to injustice. This is not to be taken lightly. It is not to be taken lightly that the democratically elected president of the nation has the majority of the American people not taking his words seriously. It's not to be taken lightly that people are saying the man tells lie after lie after lie. It's not to be taken lightly that someone with a huge opinion of himself, someone might say overinflated, opinion of himself, is being humiliated right before our very eyes. Video film being shown. Well, this time you said that, but day before yesterday you said this. And last year you said that. It's not to be taken lightly that corrupt individuals rooted in a satanic mindset. A racist mindset is a satanic mindset. A bigoted mindset is a satanic mindset. A mindset that reflects that of Iblis is an evil mindset. What is, or what is the mentality of Iblis? Iblis' mentality is revealed with just a few words in the Quran. I'm better than him. I mean, that's it. And you know what? He really believes that. I'm better than him. On what basis, Iblis, do you, as the Amir of the jinn, hang out with angels? Well, I'm hanging out with them because I'm better than the rest of the jinn. On what basis, Iblis, do you refuse the command of Allah to bow down before man? I'm better than him. The Iblis mindset, which possessing it, he moved from looking down his nose, as we say, on man to disobeying Almighty God and having a justification to do so. Well, there are people in society who possess an Iblis mindset. There are people in positions of governance who view themselves and those of their group as being superior to other people. And so they have conspired to create legislation, to create policies and procedures that gives them absolute control over the lives of those whom they look down their noses on as being weak, as being inconsequential, as being expendable. And they do so defiantly, arrogantly, yet they are being humiliated every day. As we say in the African American community, covers being pulled off of them every day during the first few days of the current presidential administration, which really hasn't even been in place that long. Seemed like it, but it hasn't. I took note, and I'm sure you did too, that the first 6 people that the president picked to be in his administration, amongst the first 6 people, 5 of them were white guys named Mike. Did you notice that, or did they get past it? I don't know what the significance of it is, but that was the case. And one of them was and is a vehement enemy of Islam and Muslims. One of the Mikes. And so the president took and put him in a position of authority. He was there a few weeks, gone. Mike Flynn, gone, out. And whatever he was planning, out. So I guess he said, well, I better get somebody else in here. So he picked another guy named Bannon, who's now being described as the guy behind the seat, just as Rumsfeld and that other guy were people behind the seat, calling the shots, as they say. And these are people who view themselves as being better than other people, certainly better than people of color, certainly better than people who are not of the 1%. And so they've been putting together plots and policies and conspiracies to punish people who are not in their group. And at the center of this dynamic are Muslims. At the center of this interplay between justice and injustice and who's in power and who's not in power, at the center of it are Muslims. That's not to be taken lightly. At the prophetic center of injustice, as one of our indigenous white American Muslim scholars, Dr. Umar Al-Faruqi from out of Chicago, An-Nawawi Institute in Chicago, he said recently, the Muslim in America is the canary in the mine. I don't know how many of us understood that statement. You know, when workers are going beneath the earth and in order to protect themselves, at least back in the old days, before they had all the sophisticated, you know, technology like we have now, in order to protect themselves from stumbling into gas pockets beneath the earth that would result in men dying, they would take a little bird called a canary, put it in a cage, and they would use the canary as a detector, because if there was gas in the air, the canary would faint or die before people would. So they carry it, and they call it the canary in the mine. And so as they're proceeding, if they see the canary drop, whoa, get back, fall back. This is dangerous. And Dr. Umar said the Muslim is the canary in the mine of America. That when you see the rights, fundamental rights, human rights of Muslims being violated, and Muslims being taken into custody, Muslims in the cage of political confinement dropping, he said, as a white man in America, to everybody, he said, you better fall back, because they come for the Muslims today and come for other folk tomorrow. And it is not to be taken lightly that there are people who understand that, regardless of who or what, and say, well, you know, I'm not a Muslim, but I am today. I'm not a Muslim, the governor of New York State said, but I am today. People who are Christians, people who are Jews, standing up saying, no, man, I'm a Muslim today, not to be taken lightly. These are times of prophetic significance that we are living in. And we must awaken. We must shake ourselves out of the sleep of complacency and organize ourselves in order to move toward the prophetic destiny that lies for you and I and our people. Oh, you who believe. I know that's hard for some of y'all to understand, or hard for some of y'all to believe, because you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that you are a tiny part of a prophetic destiny. Some, as I heard one brother say, he said, well, our people's problem is they believe in Allah, but they don't believe in themselves. But if you really believed in Allah, you would believe in yourself. If you really believe not just in Allah, but believed Allah. There are people who believe in Allah that don't believe Him. You say, I believe in Allah. Okay, yeah. What does that mean? Translation. I believe He exists. Most people in America, according to polls, Pew Research, you know, most people in America believe in God, according to the polls. But then they lead lives that would indicate that they don't believe Him. They believe in Him, but they don't believe Him. They don't believe Him when He says this lifestyle is permissible and this lifestyle is not permissible. They don't believe Him when He takes the side of the poor and the repentant against the arrogant and the rich and the unrepentant. Because if more people in America believed Allah, instead of not just believing in Him, it would be a different country. or you who worship Allah. And so in the midst of all these prophetic goings on, we have a president who, one of the hallmarks of his leadership is his promise to build a wall in order to keep them on the other side of the wall. But you and I, when we hear all this talk about building a wall and whatnot, it should make us think about the wall that Zulkarnain and the people that he was protecting built. When you hear wall, don't think of the Great Wall of China. When you hear wall, don't think about, Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. When you hear the wall, don't think about, Mexico. When you hear somebody say, the wall, think about Zulkarnain. And think about the crack that Allah's Messenger, alayhi salam, mentioned in a shook-up state. Why was the prophet shaken up? Well, maybe it was because as a prophet, he was aware that, according to Islam, in the coming of the last days, the Gog and the Magog forces will be let loose. The prophecies of Islam say. And as they are let loose, they will pour forth amongst humanity, wreaking havoc, bloodshed. Companions once asked the Prophet, alayhi salam, Ya Rasulullah, Ma taqum as-sa'a, when will the hour come? Prophet said, the hour will come and it will be characterized by hardened, he said. In fact, he said, you read the hadith, he said it 3 times. Hard, hard, hard. Translation of hard, murder. The Prophet said when murder is wanton, that means the hour is coming. How wanton is murder in this society in which we live? In the time in which we live, murder is wanton in American society. I'm not just talking about these young people in the hood who are murdering each other and other inhabitants of the hood, although I am talking about them. No, I'm talking about, what do you call that? Sandy Hook. I'm talking about young white kids strapping up in military gear and walking into schools and gunning people down. Hearts. I'm talking about drones overseas and bombs and all of that kind of thing. Hearts. Murder. So why would we, as Muslims, be walking around in the midst of this oblivious to the significance of the time in which we live? And so I remind you, as I remind myself, that a crack already occurred in the wall 1,400 years ago. And one day, the wall of protection of the righteous, the wall of protection of the vulnerable, that's protecting them. I'm not talking about a physical wall. I'm talking about a spiritual wall, a psychic wall. We have a wall of protection around us right now. Group of people say, man, block the Muslims from coming into America. Man. Target them. And people who are not Muslims say, oh, nah, man, I ain't going to let y'all do that. If you're going to put that in place, you're going to have to come through this court, and I'm a judge, and I say no. wall of protection. Christians call it a hedge of protection, they call it. So the people fall back. Giuliani and everybody else, they fall back. They say, let's rework this. Yeah, because, see, they're still thinking with an unrighteous mindset. They still think they're smarter than everybody. All right, let's go back. Let's go back in the woodshed. Okay, we'll take out this word, put in that word, and we'll change this paragraph and that. We got this now. Resubmit it. They resubmit it. Somebody else looks at it, reject it. Get that out of here. Not a Muslim, but a person from the people being looked down upon. The people of the mud. Adam was created from mud. That was Iblis's problem. He saw Adam in the mud state. Then when he saw him later looking all sharp and duly formed, Iblis said, wait a minute, man, this is the same guy. I saw him. He was a pile of mud. He was insignificant. And you want me to bow down to him? No, not me. That was the start of his problem. So the Confederates of injustice, they get together, they rework their unjust legislation, they resubmitted a judge in Hawaii, colony of the United States. Judge in Hawaii looks at it and says, reject it, get that out of here. Well, why? What's the problem now? Because your intention is transparent, the judge said. And your intention is to discriminate and render a victim of injustice the people of a religious group, he said. Everybody know what religious group he's talking about. So as Muslims, and believe me, when I say as Muslims, and everybody know how specific I am. This is not a mosque that you come to listen to khutbahs where we pretend like we live in some kind of world in which racism is not a reality. Not here. You got to go someplace else. Okay? But in spite of that, I'm saying that the cause of justice is a cause that every Muslim must take up. Because it's the principle of our faith. Allah is the God of justice. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the messenger of Allah in justice. And once injustice starts rearing its ugly head and rolling, it encompasses everybody. So if you're a Muslim of immigrant origin and you're trying to come into America, it's stopping you at the airport and all that, you might be a Muslim of immigrant origin who's an American citizen. And you say, wait a minute, man, yeah, I was over there, but I'm just going back home. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. But yeah, my parents come from somewhere else, just like you, Mr. Customs Guard. I'm just trying to go back home. Where's your home, boy? Brooklyn. Wisconsin. California. They say, yeah, okay, all right, eventually, you know. All right, there, go ahead home. Here comes the next Muslim, African American, who's not an immigrant, does not have immigrant origin. Where are you going? I'm going back home, Mr. Customs Guard. Where's your home? North Carolina. How come you got a name that says Muhammad so-and-so? I'm a Muslim. And what of it? African American. What of it? No, put him in detention too. I don't care if you are African American. I don't care if you are Muhammad Ali's son. One of the most famous Muslims in the world in the 20th century, his African American son, they take him, put him in detention. It becomes ugly, it gets out. Government looks foolish. Ali Jr., we could also call him Ibn Muhammad, he says, "No, man, I ain't going to let them go get away with this. I'm going to have to start making some noise like my father used to make noise." He flies somewhere to go testify about what happened to him. He lands at the airport coming back from testifying. They pull him over again. Oh, yeah, twice. Pull him over again. Ain't you that Ibn Muhammad boy? Yeah, what of it? See, but it didn't matter if he was born in America or born someplace else, because he's a Muslim. Didn't matter that Ibn Hajj Muhammad, African American woman, bronze medalist in the last Olympics, she's coming back from somewhere. They pull her over. And she's a lady, so I guess she didn't say, "What's wrong with you, Shayateen? Y'all don't read the paper? Here, look at my bag. You don't see that Olympic medal in there? What are you trying to keep me out for?" See? That's why every Muslim must stand for justice. Because these people, when I say these people, am I talking about a race? No. Am I talking about a mindset? No. Am I talking about a nationality? When I say these people? No. I'm talking about a mindset. Those possessed with the spirit of Iblis. Those possessed with the spirit of Shaitan. Demonically possessed. Those people, when they get Muslims in their sight, they don't care whether you're born in America or born overseas. They don't care whether you're white, black, brown. If you identify yourself as being a Muslim, or you who worship Allah. So reflect upon this, because our problem as Muslims is not the demons on the outside of the wall. Our problem is the demons on the inside of the wall. Our problem is other Muslims claiming to be Muslim, but who engage in all kind of wrongdoing, collaborating with the demons on the outside of the wall for their own personal gain. I shouldn't have to call any names. In a way that puts every Muslim in jeopardy. In a way that opens the walls of the city, of the beloved community in America, for demons to run rampant, wreaking havoc, causing blood. Did you see the story in the news about the little African kid, little black kid, found hung in the Midwest? Did you see that story? And he wasn't hung in a room or something like that. It was out in the open. He wasn't hung from a tree. He was hung in such a way, they found him swinging. He was hung in such a way that they said, when the people called the FBI and all that, they said, "How did he get up there?" There wasn't no ladder or nothing. I mean, he was way up in the air. So they asked, what really happened to this boy, young boy? I think he was 11. He went missing ended up hung in a way that left nothing but questions. Who did that? He didn't do it. Who did it? Demons. Devils. Devils who were looking at something. They were either looking at his name, or they were looking at his skin color, or they were looking at something. At this boy that looks like boys that come here to pray. Look like you're my son or grandson. So who will be next? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fortify our walls. We ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, glorified and exalted be He, to protect us and protect our women, protect our children, to give us the type of heart that we're supposed to be walking around with as Muslim men, that won't tolerate anybody threatening us or threatening our children, pushing our women down the stairs and snatching the kimar off their head and all of that kind of stuff. And may Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala forgive our sins and have mercy on us. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم بارك وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد عليه السلام والسلام وعلى آله وأصحابه وأنصاره أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وبعد. فقال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بسم الله. Just give me one moment. في سورة النصر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا وصدق الله العظيم. اللهم اغفر لنا والمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمحسنين والمحسنات وبعد. Dear brothers and sisters, I'm going to end the khutbah here. I want to end by reading from the Quran, a surah from the Quran, and one hadith. Allah, glory be to Him, says in the surah of the victory, surah number 110, Medina surah. Allah says, in the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate God. When comes the succor of Allah and victory, and you see people enter the religion of Allah in huge numbers, extol, exalt your sustainer's limitless glory and praise Him and seek His forgiveness, for behold, He is ever an acceptance of repentance. Oh, you will believe. You know that there are more mosques now in America than any time in the history of the country. Do you realize there are more mosques in New York City? And I'm talking about, mosques. I'm not even talking about musallas in hospitals. You walk into the hospital and you say, I'm a Muslim. I need to make my salah. Where can I go? They say, well, go to the chapel, or go here, or go there. Ain't no problem. Chapel? Well, that's for Christians. No, it's an interfaith chapel. So you say, oh, okay, well, I got to make salah. Let me go see what's up. You go walk in the chapel. Ain't no pictures in there. Ain't no nothing. You look, there's prayer rug on the side and a Quran. Now, those of us who remember very clearly when we used to be out in the public and it was time to make salah, and we used to go searching for a place to pray. Go up on the roof, go in a building, go in an apartment building, in between landings, and reach in our bag and pull out our little prayer rug and be praying. And if you were young and didn't care, you'd say, oh man, it's time for salah. I remember when I used to be young like that. Didn't care. I was downtown shopping one day in Macy's. Salah came in, up, time to pray. Went and got me a corner in Macy's. Put up my rug. People are coming up to me while I'm praying, excuse me, sir. Allahu Akbar. Sir, you can't do it. Allahu Akbar. You want to say something to me? Yeah, I was trying to tell you can't pray here. All right, it's good. Well, I'm finished now anyway. Have a good day. And go. Wallahi, that's the truth. We didn't care. So now, in New York City, you got in airports, hospitals, other places to work, you can go and get yourself a place to pray. Not to mention the approximately 300 mosques that exist now. Is probably higher than that now. I stopped counting at 300, waiting for the latest NYPD surveillance report to come out. Y'all laugh. I'm serious, man. More mosques in New York City anytime in the history of the city. One of the great cities of the world. More mosques in America than in spite of opposition, in spite of people throwing firebombs at mosques, in spite of people cutting off pig heads and putting it on the doorstep of the mosque, in spite of people go and they want to convert a building into a mosque, and so they're applying for their building permits, and people tell them, oh, man, get out of here, man. We ain't going to approve that. In spite of all of that, more mosques now than any time in the history of America. So why are the Muslims walking around scared? Why are you walking around afraid, hiding? See, those of us who Allah guided to Islam, in decades past, we remember we walk into a Muslim business. Don't say that too loud, brother. Why they can sit down? I ain't even going to elaborate because I got too many witnesses in here of that time. Why are you afraid when this is your time? Why are you afraid when there's the wall hasn't broken yet? Why are you afraid? Why do you have a psychology that makes somebody else think that it's safe for them to accost the women of the Ummah? You know why we never had a problem with that in the past? Because you put your hand on a Muslim woman, and when you drew your hand back, you didn't have no hand. And that was before the brothers got there. So what is it? Now is a ja'a nasrullahi wal fath. Now that the prophesied victory has come, and there are mosques all over the place. Characters on TV who are Muslim, who are not trying to blow up something. Yet, you got Muslims walking around. Don't tell them. Like people can't see who you are, even when you disguise yourself. So that's all I'm going to say. Time is up. I promised to read a hadith. I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to comment. Comment next week. It says, Nu'aym ibn Hamad narrates in Kitab al-Fitan that the fourth Khalifa of Islam, Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, said, when you see the black flags, remember where you are. And do not move your hands or your feet. Thereafter there will appear a weak, insignificant people. Their hearts will be like fragments of iron. They will have their state or their government. They will fulfill neither covenant nor agreement. They will call to the truth, but they will not be the people of truth. Their names will be parental attributions, Ibn so-and-so, Abu so-and-so. And the aliases will be derived from towns. Their hair will be free-flowing like that of women. This situation will remain until they differ among themselves. Thereafter, Allah will bring forth the truth through whomever He will. Now, there are some groups running around here amongst the Muslims who fit that description perfectly. Well, we'll talk about them next week, inshallah, okay? But I'm just saying, prophetic statement, not even from a prophet, from the follower of a prophet, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. So, keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. If you watch the news, watch a little bit of it and turn it off. Don't let yourself be in a state of permanent day-to-day distraction by, the latest preposterous declaration by Agent Orange. Do you realize now that if all you do is follow what he say, you're going to be doing that all day long, every day? No, man. Just keep up and turn it off. Where's my Quran? Turn on the news, then turn it off. Where's my hadith? Let me turn to the book of Fitan, book of Fitna. Let me see what Allah has to say about this time. Let me see what the Prophet has to say about this time. And may Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala direct us during a time of misdirection. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Ameen wa al-qiyamah.